The familiar bark. Tobiasito. Saying, get close to me again. And we're almost done with the back. That black top needed a lot of heavy coat of paint. So we did the front. Let me do it real quick before a burst of wind comes and takes over the awning. See, not bad. Much better. This is what we said we were gonna do. And we're people of our word. We beautified the handball wall here at Springdale Park. And then we're heading out and go get some handball at Roberts. We just have to clean up. And we cleaned up as much as we could in a short period of time. And I caught William painting the back. We did the front and the back in this short wall.
It's pretty obvious that we can't play on this side. Although this court probably could have and should have been a two-sided court. It was made the way it was made, you know what I mean? I think that they worked around this area after they made this court. There were some changes around the parking area and even having a little bit more space on this backside. I kind of remember that being kind of more in and a little bit closer to the road. So they used to have tennis courts right over there with a volleyball court in it. And I kind of remember when they did this and they eliminated the tennis courts that they had years ago. They did some other changes with the parking, and I remember you could pull up just a little bit more, a little closer, and they actually did a change and an update to the basketball 20 plus years ago too. They put a new basketball court, but the old one that was there, but they weren't that far apart from where it's now, but they made that change too. But this is the same original wall from probably 1984, 85. I think it was more 84ish because I think Saucy was built in 1984. This was built around the same time, I think. The Flats was already there, Lawrence School was already there, and I believe the Big Pool one was already there. Big Pool and the Flats were there, I think, right after the one at Lawrence School. You know, I think Lawrence School probably could have been the first one, the one by Lawrence School. I think that was there before the Flats. The Flats, they were playing on the bathrooms. You know what I mean? People were playing on the side of the building still. But I think Lawrence School had that court, probably could have been since like 1980. I think that's an older court. The parking lot itself at Lawrence School, this is Holyoke, but it's a school that's known as Lawrence School. It's off of Chestnut and Maple Street, Hampshire Street, and Cabot Street. It's an old school that's been there. It's been known as an elementary school, but I'm not sure what it is now. But anyway, we played a lot of handball. That's the one that they ended up with.
Take us the wind. I'm just keeping an eye on the awning.
Yeah, because that thing keeps flipping over.
But you're doing...
this side could have been, know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Two-sided. They put those little side wings as probably support for the wall. But it was a tiny wall. Like I said, this is 11.5 feet by 16. You know, they never really went by regulation, although probably could have. You know, it could have just made a 16 by 20 wall. They had the space to do it. Maybe it was a budget thing that says just build a smaller wall, or it was probably straight up a decision thing. Because as far as I remember seeing the planning for the one at Saucy, it was only $1,400 in 1984. It was $1,000 for the wall and $400 for the paving. In today's time, that's probably it would have been more like $20,000. You know what I mean? Like what they spent, $1,400. Still would have been like 20 for a one-sided court at that time. That's still relatively cheap to build a wall, like in today's time, like 20 grand or something. But at that time, it was only $1,400 to do that. I imagine the flats must have cost more. You know, it was more concrete. It was all poured, both sides, and fencing.
What was the height?
14, I believe.
14 by 20?
14 by 20. you know, it was a 3-wall court they built though.
A C court?
They built a C court, but they have no running space. And I remember the original lines that they put there, they was all the way, they weren't even at 20 feet. They were all the way like at 30 feet. And then the long line was at like 50 or 60 feet. It didn't make sense.
Wow.
So, you know, the players modified that and put the actual lines. And then when we painted it, you know, we put the lines. I don't even know if we even went 16 feet. We went probably closer to like 15, 15 and a half. Because it was the way the size and the layout was. It was always hard to do regulation. In today's time, I would have just went with the 16, but this court right here is not regulation. It's too small to go regulation. It's like I had to modify Oxford Street Park in Lawrence. I had to put a 16, but in the back I couldn't go 34 as a long line. I went like 33 or something. You know what I mean? Because there's no space in the back for you to stand. If I would have went 34, you have 6 inches. It's only like 35 feet. You know, like a lot of times when they make these courts, they don't, you know, measure out. They don't look at what dimensions are needed for a handball court. Because they think that, okay,
not just the dimensions, you have to consider also the running space on the sides
that's
and
what
the
I mean,
back.
dimensions. Okay, you can get the wall,
the fencing, some lighting.
Yeah, sometimes they just put the floor and they think you're just on the surface, and that's what the only thing that matters. And that's not the
and
case.
the material that you use and the type of court lines
well,
you
just
need.
that where you put the joint,
expansion
then on the wall,
joints.
if you're gonna smooth out the wall. Like this one, they just kept all the joints, but these joints weren't that bad. The forms, when they put the forms for the concrete, see how that is? In the front, it seems a little bit better, but it could just be because it's been painted a few times. But you can see the joints, just like at Greenville Park, you can see the joints. They never grinded them down.
Yeah, and you gotta have nice, smooth walls,
Yeah,
nice,
but
smooth
this,
floors.
if it was big, you could live with these joints, because they're not that bad. But you know how it is. If you use something a lot, then you're gonna notice that the imperfections a lot more. When you fool around and come and use a court, you're not gonna notice it. You run a tournament or something, or you do something more serious, it's gonna the ball's gonna hit exactly where you don't want it to hit, when you don't want it to hit there. It's just gonna do that over and over. You know what I mean? I noticed that in the Holyoke High School when these guys were playing, the ball would hit right when they needed the shot the most. I remember watching the video, and I think it was a lefty Hector that hit it. And he hit the ball, and it was clearly not going to go long, but where it hit on the wall, it just went out, it went long. I remember the cage in Springdale, not the cage, Kennefit Park doing that. You hit a ball, it's clearly going straight, and then it just goes that way and it goes out. I was like, I didn't even, you hit it like perfectly. Lawrence at Costello has done that. There's a wavy wall. I know in Waterbury, I think they were dealing with that a lot. They waited so many years for courts, they got nice courts built, but the walls are terrible, so I just want to use this up.
All right, so we're almost finished here, and then we're gonna go play some handball at Roberts.
Like I said, we beautify both sides because that has to do with the area. I like the area to be clean because I just have this thing where you start to neglect something or the appearance of it, then it looks like it's okay to mess around or throw something there, or when you keep things cleaner and it looks like people are caring for it, sometimes people respect it more. Not all the time, because sometimes I've seen brand new things get vandalized. You know?
I know.
You know, but
I know firsthand.
you know, I know. But sometimes if you show that you're maintaining something, you know, people start respecting it a little bit more. But like I said, it's not all the time. You see Greenville, it shows that people are maintaining and they don't care. But that's because you got that, you know, person doing it, or whoever it is that's doing it.
Skip-a-diddy-doo.
Yeah.
Bye, people.